your big Hollywood sunglasses and light the torch, because it's cellar time. Welcome to the Crack Cellar, as the prophecy was once pay to win. I'm Two-Spirit Penguin Daniel.
And I'm freshly unthawed Broadcaster Nickels.
And today, Broadcaster, I'm reminded of a movie called The Goods. You remember The Goods?
Oh, dude.
Jeremy Piven.
That's his name. He's like, I sell cars, bitches. Was that his line?
It also had the whammy guy from Anchorman. I think something Keckner. I forget his first name.
Oh, yeah. They had a lot of those guys and gals.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Was it Farley Brothers? Was it the same?
No, it was. No, well, I mean, Anchorman wasn't Farley Brothers. It was Judd Apatow before Judd Apatow became a fucking. Ugh.
Oh, really?
It's so weird if you look at Judd Apatow's filmography.
Was Step Brothers Farley Brothers?
No, that was also Judd Apatow, I believe.
Wow, I'm fucking from a different timeline, apparently. I thought these were all Farley Brothers movies.
I'm not 100% on Step Brothers. That one could be. I'm going to say I'm like 80% sure that one's Judd Apatow too. I'm 100% sure the Anchorman's Judd Apatow.
Yeah, Judd Apatow is just a good example of someone that should keep their mouth shut in the limelight when not talking about things he's good at, because he clearly is a gangster at making comedy, and he was. Yeah, exactly.
If you look at
until he opened his fucking mouth.
Dude, the timeline is crushing. If you look at his IMDb, like the beginning is just like hitter after hitter, just like absolute fire across the board. Then he does Superbad, and that's like the de-embarkation line is Superbad. As soon as you get past Superbad,
that's a good one. That's a good come barbate, whatever you just said line.
Right when you get past that shit, it goes downhill into a cliff, into a ravine. Like, it's insane how bad his movies got towards the end. Yeah,
well, I mean, that's like a hell of a swan song. Like, I mean, if you're getting Alzheimer's, you're like, this is the last hurrah, boys. I'm not going to remember you after this one.
Yeah.
That's a good one to go out on.
I think it's literally been 13 years since Judd Apatow has made a funny movie, which is just so weird because a few of my favorite comedies of all time are made by that guy. It's just, it's nuts. It's fucking
Superbad to this day is one of my favorite comedies ever.
Hell yeah.
I put it up there with Tommy Boy. Like, it is a great fucking comedy.
Yeah, it had a lot of like that Cheech and Chong and Harold and Kumar vibe to it.
Yeah, Harold and Kumar has not aged as good as you'd think, in my opinion. I mean, I used to love that when it first came out. I watched it not too long ago, and it's just one of those movies where there's a few good golden moments, but I was like, man, this wasn't nearly as funny as I remember it.
I felt that way about Harold and Kumar 2. I rewatched that one, and it was super cringy.
What was that about?
That was the one where they go to Guantanamo Bay.
Oh, yeah, it's a cock meat sandwich.
Yeah.
That's where a cock meat sandwich comes from.
Yeah, that one...
There's some good lines in that movie.
Yeah, but like most of it is super cringy. I just rewatched all of the Harold and Kumars recently, like this last month, so it's really fresh in my mind. And the third one is like them trying to turn it into like sort of like a Chevy Chase vacation movie, which was really weird on the rewatch. Like, I totally forgot how much the vibe changed in the third one.
There's a third Harold and Kumar?
Yeah, it's Christmas themed, and I swear to God, you watch it and you're like, these guys watched Christmas Vacation, and then they did a line of coke off a hooker's ass, and they said, we're making Harold and Kumar 3.
That's funny, because I'm looking at the literature right now, and that's the exact incantation you need to summon Chevy Chase. So.
Yeah.
To the T.
Yeah. Speaking of movies that actually aged well, in my opinion, is Vegas Vacation, the one that most people panned back in the day. Like, it's like, oh, that's
my favorite one.
I think that. Well, I used to think that was because we grew up with it. I agree with you. It's not my favorite, but it's my second.
Don't get
favorite.
me wrong. Christmas Vacation is fucking amazing.
Yeah, that's my number one. But yeah,
but I don't know, dude. Vegas Vacation just has a little bit more pop to it.
Oh,
like,
dude,
you got Wayne fucking Newton, dude,
and it aged so well. Like the line delivery on some of these, like with at the very beginning, like in the first scene where he's like meeting his family for breakfast to tell them they're going to Vegas. They recast both the kids.
It's so
Vegas
white
Vacation.
trash. It's
like and they make a joke about it in the very first scene. Chevy Chase deadpans, looks right at the camera and says, "Kids, I hardly recognize you anymore." And then there's just like this awkward silence and it moves on. And I'm just like, that type of shit, it just ages really well. And then like everything with the boy, with like him getting the fake ID and being like Mr. Papadopoulos or whatever and winning all those cars, like all that shit aged so gracefully. It was so funny watching it again.
Those three like heart-to-heart talks he does. He cracks the beer. And he's like, "Rusty, that's your name." What's he say? He's like, "That your name is Rusty, right?"
Yeah, they have like the one where they're floating on the pool and like the hot chicks in the bikinis walk by, and Chevy Chase tries to have the sex talk with him. Yeah, it's a great movie. It aged very well. What got me on this to begin with, though, is the fact that The Goods. Created by not Farley Brothers, not Judd Apatow, but Neil Brennan of Dave Chappelle Show fame. He actually wrote The Goods.
Really?
I think he might have directed it too, but I know he wrote it and executive produced it. And hasn't since. That is his only movie that he ever wrote, and it was good. So I'm wondering, like, the conspiracy side of my brain is like, ooh, what did he do to piss off Hollywood? Because that was a good movie, and he got blacklisted after that.
He didn't get blacklisted after that, though, because he did, like, he had, like, a really, like, high-budget Netflix special after that.
So you're talking about Three Mics, right?
Yeah, that no one understood.
Yeah, he had to beg Netflix to take that, and they paid him like minimum contract money. Like he didn't get paid shit for it. And he has never made a Hollywood movie, been a part of a Hollywood movie since The Goods. Not once.
Well, here's the thing. Hot take.
Oh shit.
I know that's a trendy term right now on the media platforms. But I didn't like Three Mics.
No.
I thought it was lame.
So did
I thought it was too heady, and this is what's going to fuel my next opinion about him in general. He kind of seems like a guy that has really good ideas but doesn't know how to focus his chi. Mm-hmm. You know, like Dave Chappelle came into his life and noticed that he had really good ideas and helped him kind of like write for the Chappelle. I'm just speculating. I'm not trying to like insult the guy. I'm just saying, like, this is just from my perspective. Kind of looks like he needs some guidance to be good. He's not the type of guy that's like fucking just a stud by himself. You know what I'm saying?
I completely agree. He is never good on any podcast that he's a guest on. He's not entertaining. He kind of comes off a little.
Well, he's a classic writer. You know, who wants to be a stand-up.
Exactly. That's the key. He wants to be something else, and he's very, very bitter that no one wants him to be that, and they all want him to be a writer.
I don't think it's anybody wants him not to be it. They just realize that he's not that, and that he's really like Neil's tried and true writer. Like,
but he doesn't write anymore. He stopped writing.
I think this is all just conjecture, but it's probably on it. I would say it's on his own will, because he's trying to be other things.
Exactly.
But but he's, at the end of the day, he's a solid writer, and his history has proven that he's a solid fucking writer.
Yeah. So like, we just like what needs to happen is Joe Rogan needs to invite him back to the mothership and have a little heart to heart with him and be like, listen, dude, just stop it. Just stop it. Okay,
or
start
just
writing,
or just reallocate. You know, like I feel like a name like Neil Brennan should have enough money and enough clout to be able to at least take a run or a little gambit at fucking stand up every once in a while and still be writing primarily, right? Like it's not preposterous to think that like Neil Brennan deserves to like refine something he wants to work at while still doing something he's really fucking good at, like writing.
yeah.
That's why I just think he doesn't know how to focus his chi, you know, like
Well, I also think he's broke. I don't think he has a lot of money.
That could be it too.
Because, Dave Chappelle was broke for a long time. And for the same reason Neil Brennan was. Comedy Central screwed them on the money for that show. Now, eventually that got fixed for Dave Chappelle for a variety of reasons, but mainly Netflix unloaded the Brinks truck at Dave Chappelle's doorstep. That didn't happen for Neil Brennan. Like I said, he got one comedy special on Netflix that he had to beg them to take, and they gave him like a minimum low ball amount of money to do it.
No way Dave didn't hook him up, though.
Honestly, him getting the low ball might have been him getting hooked up, and I'm not sure if they actually are boys. There's my hot take. I don't think they're friends.
What do you base that off of, though? Because I might be making this up in my head, but I remember watching something or like an interview, or it had to be years ago because I have no idea the context in which my brain's making this up in. But I swear it was like Dave saying, and Neil was there talking about how much they're boys and how much they connected to make the Dave Chappelle show and stuff, and like how Neil was like the heart and soul of all the comedy sketches.
Right. I think they used to be, for sure. I just don't think they are anymore. I think there's been a falling out, and I base that purely on me seeing multiple interviews with Dave Chappelle and multiple interviews with Neil Brennan over like the last 5 or 6 years. When Neil Brennan talks about Dave Chappelle, he talks about him in a very past tense sort of way, and there's a little bit of resentment and like bitterness you can kind of hear in his voice. Dave Chappelle, on the other hand, doesn't even really talk about Neil Brennan anymore. Like the last 3 interviews that I've heard him, he didn't even bring his name up once. It was never even discussed. So
Neil could be one of those wokesters.
I think he might be, and I don't think Dave Chappelle is, obviously.
What? Wait a minute, hold on a second. Let's backtrack here a little bit. Please dissect what you just said. Dave Chappelle not woke?
I mean, he's getting attacked on stages for making tranny jokes, so I'm going to say he's not that woke.
I thought attacking trannies was woke.
Oh, shit.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Is this like 4D wokeness that we're...
I mean, eventually the LGBTQ outer galactic empire has to split and make multiple factions.
Wait, is this like horseshoe theory we're talking about right now?
Absolutely, dude. This comet's coming back, baby. It's going to impact Earth this time.
Yeah. Anyway, The Goods, great movie. Rest in peace, Neil Brennan's Hollywood career. And Coffee is for Closers.
Was that the one where... Oh, no, it was the same female actress, but I'm thinking of the one with Jason Bateman.
No, actually, the female in The Goods is actually now famous for playing Agatha the Witch in WandaVision.
I don't know why she'd be famous for that, because all of her roles before that were way better.
True. I say that because...
The disrespect for female comedians, unreal. I mean...
She's getting a standalone show. You know that, right? Yeah, the Agatha character.
Yeah,
is getting a show.
That's... I mean... Agatha Harkness is like way cooler of a witch than fucking Scarlet Witch would ever be. That's just coming from me, humble comic book reader.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy for her because she is one of my favorite female comedians. So like, I'm glad that she's making bank and everything's going good for her because she deserves it. Unlike Amy Schumer, who just released her like 5th undeserved Netflix special. I'm just looking at it like, have you noticed the trend?
She has political blood ties, doesn't she?
She does, yeah. She's related
Like,
to Chuck Schumer. I think he's like her
yeah,
great uncle
like,
or something weird like that. Like they're
so
related.
When I found that out, that totally made sense why she's like in the comedian spotlight, because she's never been funny, but yet she's like had so many opportunities that no one else has. So when I found that, I was like, okay, that makes sense, because she has no business being where she's at.
She's a walking meme. Like she invented like the whole female comedians just have to talk about their vaginas thing. Like she invented that.
She's like Brie Larson playing Captain Marvel.
Yep.
You know, like you're just like, God, you have no business being here, right? You're hot. Sure, you might have been good in a couple other movies, but goddamn, you're a bitch right now.
Yeah. Yep. It's weird, this like new sort of trend on Netflix. I don't know if you've noticed it. I don't think you get on Netflix very often, but all of a sudden, instead of comedy specials like normal stand-up specials, they're doing these like, here's a famous stand-up comedian and their friends. Bill Burr did one, and a few other people did. Amy Schumer released one where it's like the main person that's, anchoring the show, like they're the name on the thing when you click it. They only do like a very short set at the beginning, and then they just like play, live at the Apollo announcer for the rest of it while they bring their friends on to do stand-up.
That's kind of cool. If there's good comedians.
That's the thing, is like, I don't think it is cool because they're not really. Like the Bill Burr one, I actually watched all the way through, and almost all of the people he brought on stunk. Didn't watch Amy Schumer, but I'm guessing all the people she brings on probably are going to stink too, but that's just conjecture.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of shit would really suck if there's like an agenda behind it, obviously. But like with names like Bill Burr, I'd really expect him to bring the heat. He wouldn't bring like chumps to the fucking bill.
That's what I thought. But the very first person he brought on was Michelle Wolf, who's like one of the least funny female comedians.
Is like, this is, you know what? I'm gonna, this might seem a little weird, but salute to Michelle Wolf, because for one thing, she at least is not some crazy woke chick comedian. But I don't agree with her on certain things, and I'm not going to slide her for that. I've heard some jokes. I can't like actually remember them or anything, but I remember not really hating on her too much every time I see her. Her jokes aren't that bad. I feel like she gets more flack than she deserves just because she's a female comic, which is funny, but there's way worse female comics than her. Way worse.
There are, for sure. But
she's like almost as good as it gets right now. She's like the next what's her name? The hot one that was really famous in the early 2000s.
Amy Schumer.
No. She's Smoke Show, dude. Fucking
Smoke Show.
Dude, I'd still bang her, dude.
Now
Sarah.
Oh, Sarah.
Yeah, Sarah Silverman.
Yeah, she was pretty hot in the early 2000s.
She used to be super funny and like on point too.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just destroyed her image.
She got bit by the woke bug.
As fuck.
Yep. Yeah. Well, Michelle Wolf's set on this Bill Burr special I thought was hot garbage. It really sucked. But, to each their own. I'm not a huge fan of her anyway, but I remember she did like the White House Correspondents' Dinner a long time ago. And I actually thought that was pretty funny. Like that was her material on that was pretty good. So I thought she was decent, but man, I thought she stunk on Bill Burr's new little Live at the Apollo show on Netflix.
Yeah. But I think the main reason I'm trying to give respect to Michelle is because I'm kind of a connoisseur of comedian podcasts right now. It's like one of my main favorite. It's like one of my main favorite things to do. I literally Patreon and like 5 different comedian podcasts right now. Right?
What?
Yeah, it's only $5, but it's whatever. I'm still paying to like get a little bit of extra 5 different comedian podcasts right now. And all the ones I listen to, they all seem to respect Michelle Wolf. Like she hangs out within that circle of top tier comedians in my opinion. So
wow.
In that peripheral way, I give her respect because everyone else I respect gives her respect.
Now, you wouldn't just like you want to fuck her. That's not what this is, right?
No, not at all.
Okay,
No.
Okay, all right.
So no disrespect to Michelle. No disrespect.
I'm pretty baffled, honestly, because I thought we had pretty similar taste in comedy, but I really don't like her very much. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, teach her.
I get where you're coming from. I'm not trying to say your idea is preposterous.
I'm not on the moon.
Yeah, you're not on the moon at all.
Okay. Yep. All right. Well, broadcaster, are you ready to get to our preview of Routine?
Yes.
Good start.
Kind of like the PlayStation sound.
Yep.
Not sound, logo. Was that fish equipped to a oxygen or some type of water hose?
That's what it seemed like.
Ooh. Getting some Dead Space / Bioshock vibes. Oh, not anymore. Bioshock vibes gone.
Whoa.
See, this is part of the image I was telling you about earlier, like super high-end graphics.
That looks like a Dead Space gun.
Yeah, very. Kind of like James Cameron meets Dead Space, That's a robot. Hit it with the scanner, B.
Whoa. Oh, that's a creepy robot. Holy fuck.
I want to know the engineering purpose of the face. Like, why does it have the fucking meat-eating face if it's a robot?
Yeah. Interesting.
Lunar Software X Raw Fury. PC and a whole bunch of Xbox logos. I'm not seeing a PlayStation logo. Ironically enough, even though the very beginning of the trailer kind of jacked their original PS1 intro.
Yeah, the sound effect kind of, and the actual logo itself. There's like a weird
think the
symbol.
logo more than the sound, but yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know that. I mean, there was absolutely no gameplay in there. It was just a lot of atmospheric horror stuff.
Well, the funny thing is this is 2022, and me and you just recently discovered that this was a game announced in 2013?
Yep.
2012?
I think it was announced in 2012 as a Steam, what do they call those? It's not Kickstarter, because this was before Kickstarter. It was like Steam had their own version of Kickstarter, right? Early on, I think.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, Greenlight, I think is what it was called, right? Do you remember that? Steam Greenlight?
Oh, that was like when indie was first taking off.
That was the indie boom. You remember when the PS4 first came out?
Yeah,
indie games were just fucking in vogue.
That wasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't like Bastion like one of the big heroes of Steam Greenlight? No?
I'm not sure about that. It sounds a little familiar now that you say it, but I'm not.
That was that really good looking like 2D art RPG that was like 100% narrated. Like every movement was narrated by like a super, super famous, I don't know if he's famous, but really good voice actor.
Yeah, that was like one of the indie darling launch games for the PS4, right?
I swear it was. I might be getting confused, but yeah, I thought that's what it was. Project Greenlight with Steam it's bringing back some fuzzy memories.
Yeah, it is weird how long Steam's been around now. When I look at Steam, I still think of it as like, oh, that's the new thing. It's like, no, boomer, that shit came out 20 years ago.
It is crazy to think that we've been around for the advent of every single digital marketplace. You know?
Yep.
Like, when people think about certain ones, it's like I'm thinking about it, but you got to realize I come from a time when they didn't even exist, so I got to like fluctuate the timeline a little bit.
Yeah. A lot of Web 1.0 memories really trip me out sometimes. Every once in a while, I'll just remember something from Web 1.0 where I'm like, God damn, dude, how old am I?
It's funny, you're old enough to be able to acknowledge it as Web 1.0, but you're trendy enough to call it Web 1.0. There's some weird stuff in there.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I had a GeoCities page, bro. Like,
I was there, Gandalf.
I was a beta tester for ICQ. Like, fucking, what has happened to the world?
I still remember looking up Diablo 2 guides on Ask Jeeves. And I remember being there and just being like, this is the fucking future.
Yeah, totally.
Pirating Windows XP Service Pack 1, just being so proud of myself. I'm like, I am going to install this on a computer that was built 4 years ago and thinking I was just a mad scientist. I was just like, I got this to work. Leave me alone.
Shit. Yep. Well, all right. Well, back to routine, I guess. I don't know. What'd you think? There wasn't a whole lot there. Graphics definitely look like indie current gen. They don't look 2012 to me.
Well, I don't think they look indie at all. I think it could be a really churched up trailer for sure. But if that's gameplay, if that's in engine, which they did not say, I'm saying if that was in game, that's really good looking.
Yeah, I mean,
frame rate aside, all that fun stuff. I'm not saying like you pack on all the pleasantries like HDR and fucking 120 plus frame rate and 2160 RP, and all that. Who knows where it really sits at that point. But the trailer looked really good. The atmosphere looked really good. The sound effects looked really good.
Yeah, the sound stood out.
And this is kind of where I found out about this game to begin with, was Mick Gordon. Mick Gordon just dropped this on his YouTube channel 2 days ago. And I didn't know anything of it. I sent you the link of it because that's how we do it with the previews. We don't watch it and just send the link and we do the thumbs up to see if that's what we want to do. But I didn't we kind of at the last minute realized that this was a game from 2012. It was first announced in 2012 and had a previous or a 2017 release date that came and went. And
apparently they went radio silent and they didn't even tell anyone what was going on at all. So like it's just been like legend conjecture type shit.
It looks really good
this last couple months, right? Like even 6 months ago, no one knew what was going on with this game and everyone just assumed it was canceled, but they never said anything.
Well, and here's the other thing. How many times do you see a reveal trailer come from the person doing the music for the game? I mean, sure.
Well, he's a big get for that. Mick Gordon's one of the hottest composers in video games right now.
But composers are composers still. Right. They're still bottom of the barrel as far as fame goes for video games. The only reason Mick Gordon is famous for us is because we're metalheads, and the Doom OST was legendary as far as metal goes. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's just weird to see some ghost of a game all of a sudden get a re-reveal trailer from the guy that's supposedly doing the music for him. And there was no music in the reveal trailer either. There was no signature Mick Gordon vibes.
Not at all. And not only was there no music, if you really take that trailer at face value, this game doesn't seem like the type of game that even has music, right? Like, this is the type of game that uses silence as a weapon against you to scare you.
For sure.
So I'm guessing that the music in this game is only going to be in combat, right? Which they didn't show at all in this trailer. There was no combat.
Yeah. I mean, au contraire, though, I mean, Mick Gordon is a sound engineer. So he could literally just be doing the sound for this
sound
game.
Effects. That's an interesting theory. Maybe that is what's going on.
He's a legitimate sound engineer. Like, he knows his shit when it comes to just anything that involves musical hardware. So he could actually be just doing the sound effects for this game.
Yeah. You know, I kind of have a weird conspiracy theory popping in my mind right now. I'm doing the math on the years and the timeline. I'm wondering if this game got put back into production, back into development, because the creators all saw Stranger Things and were like, oh, they got like a nostalgia boner. Because if you really look at this game, it's sort of taking like the Stranger Things era of sci-fi horror. That's what this game looks like it's trying to do.
What makes you think that?
Just from all the way, the direction, the images, like not necessarily the setting. The setting is very much like, you know, Dead Space or any of those type of games. But like the little images that were popping up, the way that they were trying to scare you with, sort of the like cinematography, I guess is what I'm getting at.
You're talking about like those red AI, like sound wave looking burst things.
Yeah, and also just the sound effects, the way the sound effects were going, everything, like the whole kind of package around the window, like the window dressing is what's giving me that vibe rather than what I'm seeing through the window, if you know what I mean.
I was getting a lot of like Dead Space X, like James Cameron vibes, you know. As soon as I saw that gun, and it was like just an imaging gun. I'm not quite sure what they were trying to portray with that weapon he was using. It had to be some type of thermal scanner or organic life scanner or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It made me think of Aliens. That's the immediate thing I thought of, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely thought of Dead Space first, but
a gun mode though. That was really weird at the beginning when he like. It had the first operation where it was like an image. It was some type of visual scanner. And then he like put it into like attack mode when he heard the noise.
Yeah. 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 It's a pretty short trailer. Not a lot there. Very, very, you could also kind of say it's like Silent Hill-ish as well. Just with the way that it was doing the scaring. Like, Silent Hill was very famous for having kind of vaguely scary things happen just out of visual range so that you, like, don't quite know what you just saw. And they did that in this trailer as, like, one of the main showcases. Like, at the when you get to those stairs, right as you're approaching them, it shows that robot enter the room. And when you're looking at it, it looks like it could be a ghost, a person, a zombie. Like, it could have been anything. But then we eventually find out it's a robot. Silent Hill did a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a tome of scare tactics for horror games, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one definitely seems like it's taking inspiration from multiple angles, that's for sure.
Good, though. I mean, I like to see it because it's a renaissance. It kind of makes me think there's a renaissance for horror games coming because, you know, PT never happened, and now the people that originally did Dead Space are doing, I forget what it's called. It's like Project something. It's coming out soon. I forget what it's called, but the original people that did Dead Space are doing that, and then Dead Space itself is getting a remake, and now we're getting this as well.
Yeah.
So it makes me think that like survival horror is coming back. And, on top of that, the cherry on top to all that is Capcom. no surprise, RE4 is finally doing RE4 remake, which is crazy. It didn't come sooner, but here we are in 2022, finally getting the remake of the best Resident Evil they've ever fucking made. So, congratulations, Capcom! Congratulations, you're fucking Smart big brain apes, finally.
Yeah. The funny thing about that too is that not only is it the best, and I mean this is debatable obviously, but in my opinion, not only is it the best, it's the best by like a country mile. Like
it is an ocean. Remember Gurren Lagann when they go into space and they get trapped in the ocean, and then there's the fucking mouths pouring the ocean into the space ocean upon the oceans? Yeah, dude. RE4 is the oceans upon oceans, dude.
Yeah. I mean, that game's just like, it's like beyond a classic. It's just like a classic's classic.
It's crazy how good it is. It's beyond a classic. It's timeless.
Yeah.
Like, you could literally pick up the oldest version of RE4 right now. You could fire up your GameCube and whip out the fucking tiny mini disc and pop it in there. And
I miss those mini discs.
This is GOAT. This is still good. Like, it doesn't need any touch-ups. It's a fucking amazing game. It's still good.
It really is. It's I think what happened, I don't know for sure, but there was what game? Skyrim, that people meme on all the time because Todd Howard re-released Skyrim like 35 different times. Like, just to milk it more and more, get people to buy new versions with like slight differences.
Yeah.
I think that Capcom might have sort of done that with RE4. I remember, like, I'm just thinking, like, there were a few times I remember where I thought they were remaking it, and then I looked closer into it, and it was just a re-release. I remember that happening, like, back in, like, 2009, and then, like, maybe back in 2013, and then maybe even, like, back in 2016 or 17. I feel like I remember that happening multiple times.
Not only are you correct, but you're understating how bad some of the remakes got worse, fidelity-wise.
What do you mean worse?
Because I originally played it on GameCube, right? I played your copy of with that dope legendary red tin case with the portrait that came with dude. I remember. So I played that. I probably got maybe 20, 30 hours of gameplay time on that game on your GameCube with that game, and I fell in love with it. And then I moved back with Dad, and I had a PS2. And when they launched it on PS2, I was thinking, okay, well, PS2 came later. This is clearly going to be an upgrade. Like, this is just like the second coming of Jesus, right? Like, I bought the legendary tin. It was the same style tin case, but it was the PS2. Mm-hmm. And instead of a Leon S. Kennedy little portrait thing you got inside of it, you got an Ada Wong, which was way more cooler, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, we're being real.
I still have that to this day. But when I popped it in, the first thing in my brain, I was like, this looks worse.
Yep.
I was like, how is the GameCube better than the PS2? What the fuck?
Yeah. The PS2 version was legendarily bad. I actually played it a bit too. Dude. One of my friends had it, and it was hot garbage for multiple reasons.
I'll tell you right now, it did not stop me from pumping in hundreds of hours into that copy.
Yeah. And probably, like, out of those 100 hours, 10 of those hours were load times.
No, dude, the load times weren't that bad. It was to be honest, it was the fidelity. I mean, maybe I might be forgetting. I might be desensitized to the load times of PS2 in general, you know?
Like, when I think back when I tried the PS2 version, I remember one of my main thoughts back then was that, like, why is every screen taking 3 times longer to get to?
I think load screens never really hit me back then. I think I was just too young to really give a fuck. I was still so pumped on just playing video games in general. You know, you're a little bit older than me, so
I grew up with cartridges, and those were all instant load times. So, like, load times were always big for me. The second we went to disc-based content with the PS1 and the Sega CD, like, it was crazy. Like, being a kid that grew up with an NES, a Super Nintendo, a Sega Genesis, and all of a sudden you get the Sega CD, you get the PlayStation 1, and load times, they didn't triple. They increased like 5 to 10 times. Like, we're talking, like, we're going from 1 second load to 10 to 30 second loads. There were some games where I swear to God, just to go to the menu took like 30 seconds of load time.
Oh, for sure. There were, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Especially the PS1 and the PS2 days were notorious I'd say PS3 loads. I don't know if it was just during the PS3 era they found some gimmicky way to disguise load screens. I think by that era, developers were getting really tricky with how they like actually loaded assets into games, so they actually didn't need physical load screens anymore necessarily. There was just the main load screen for starting the game up, and then there was like downloading in the background type stuff that they slowly mastered over time. But the PS1 and 2 era were pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
By the time the PS3 era came, though, you had like I think the worst example I can think of was Metal Gear Solid 4.
Oh, God, that game had horrible... yeah, I forgot about that, but you're right. Horrible load times on that game.
But they were still great because Hidao was just like, yeah, these loads are atrocious, but we're going to like actually divert money into making these load screens fucking dope, like these weird surreal commercials and mini games. Like watching... sometimes I describe Metal Gear Solid 4 to people and I feel like I'm going crazy because people are just looking at me like I'm romanticizing something that's really not that cool. But
you were the right age at the right time for it.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 4 was just, I personally think was groundbreaking to this day. What they did with the PS3 graphics on that game were unreal.
Yeah. And
to this day, you really don't see that level of involvement in one piece of hardware for any studio at all. Like
they dug deep into the tech.
They did, dude. I mean, they were showcasing snowflakes, building up, pillowing up snow piles on the barrel of your gun in 1080p in what year? What year was that?
Wow, when did that game come out? I want to say like 2010, 2009.
You could literally sit in a snowfield and just go like into posture of aiming your gun and slowly watch each snowflake accumulate on the barrel of your gun.
Yeah. No
doubt. It's crazy
doubt.
Tech for the time.
I remember playing MGS4. It was actually, it's funny. MGS4 was one of the final PS3 games I played before my PS3 died. And I never replaced it.
It killed it.
It did, dude. I'm pretty sure MGS4
microwaved it like fucking Snake in the Tunnel, dude.
Yeah, man. I remember playing MGS4 and then like I beat it, and then I want to say like 2 weeks later, out of nowhere, my PS4 just died, and it never turned back on. So I think Hideo Kojima killed my PS3, or was I saying PS4? I meant PS3 if I was saying PS4. But yeah,
the nuclear reactor, the super cell computer, or the shadow cell computer known as the PS3.
Yeah, they still can't emulate PS3 games. Like, I don't know if they're going to need quantum computers to properly emulate PS3 games.
I still think there's going to be some type of weird conspiracy theory revealed on the PS3 in like 50. Like, we're going to be dead. And they're going to figure something out about the PS3, how it was like a government-funded project. The Shadow Cell CPU was some type of weird architecture on purpose to do some type of weird alien encryption. I don't know. They're going to figure something out.
Hollywood agrees with you. There is a television show called Person of Interest. And on that show, it actually had the actor from Lost, like the diminutive short guy who was in Lost. I forget what his name was. He's like the main villain, basically. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I never watched Lost.
Remember? Oh, right. I always forget you didn't watch Lost. Anyway, that's not really important. The point is this show actually took what you're talking about as a storyline. This guy who's like this super genius in the show, he got like, I want to say 200 PS3s and created like a neural network creating them all to create the world's first like sentient supercomputer. And it was built on like 200 PS3s interconnected. And he even made a joke about it, like, oh, the real reason the PS3 was designed like this was so that someone like me could do something like this. Something to that effect. It's really funny that you bring that up randomly without ever seeing that show. Other people agreed with you.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's comical, but like the PS3 is just the epitome of like over-engineered consoles. I think it will go down as like the craziest over-engineered console of all time.
Yep. I have not gotten rid of my PS3 games. I still have my entire PS3 library.
Me too.
I plan on buying a PS3 second market one of these days.
I still have the original. To this day, I still have my original Fat Boy PS3. It's not the
still
slim
running.
version. Well, I mean, I put it away running. I hope it's still running.
Yeah, okay. Well, I put mine away in a coffin, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to buy a new one.
You could probably let me crack it open. I could probably get it running for you.
Oh no, it's fine. This is like a future thing, like when I like build like a true man cave with like a giant CRT TV for old school consoles. I'm gonna. I bet you yours still works. Usually they're just fucking really gimmicky problems, like the CPU is separating because the thermal bracket is like not strong and it's letting the CPU lift off the board or something. Maybe
stuff it's in you can usually fix.
I have it still. I didn't throw it away, so maybe we'll see. Anyway, I think we're off the rails a little bit. Anyway, routine coming to a Steam near you, I think.
It's on the Steam page. It
says Lunar 2023.
Dude, we're talking about a Lunar Software X Raw Fury collaboration, dude. Okay, dude. Collabs are super hot nowadays. Yeah. There's no way they could fall apart.
Yeah. All right. Yep.
What was the McDonald's collab? Hit me with the McDonald's collab.
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about. That Travis Scott collab, dog.
Oh, shit. Wasn't that Burger King?
No, it was Mickey D's, dude.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was Burger King had the... It was like a Big Mac with fries and a Sprite or some shit. Like, it was nothing special.
Yeah. Burger King did their own version of that. That's why I got it confused. They did their own version. They ripped it off, but they did it with Nelly. It's getting hot in here, guys.
It's so dumb though, because I swear, like, McDonald's did it, and now everyone's putting an X in between their fucking collab. They're like, "Yo, dog, it's fucking Lunar X Raw Fury, dog." Like anyone knows those two names at all, dog.
Oh
like, what the fuck? You ain't Travis Scott, B.
Oh shit. Well, speaking of stuff that only arcane boomers know of.
That was probably a really white take too. I was probably the whole X thing is probably way before that. It's over my head. I'm just going like trailer trash McDonald's take, like Travis Scott at McDonald's.
Oh shit! All right, broadcaster, we have important things to do this evening. Not only has Tails come to Sonic 2. Knuckles skips right to Sonic 2. He's like, I'm not waiting for Sonic 3. He comes straight away.
You picked up on that. He smashed right into Sonic 2.
He's like, fuck you, Tails. Or as he would say, fuck you, Fox.
We don't know if Sonic has the relevance to make it to Sonic 3, so Knuckles is coming in on 2.
Oh, shit. Yeah, got a lot to say about this one. Broadcaster, are you ready to get to our review of Sonic 2?
Roger that.
And we're back with our review of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And the creator of this fine film describes it as the following. When the maniac Dr. Robotnik returns to Earth with a new ally, Knuckles, the Echidna, Sonic, and his new friend Tails is all that stands in their way. Broadcaster.
Is Knuckles a caveman? That's the question you're going to ask me. Yes. And I love it. I love it. I'm absolutely 100% identifying with Knuckles' attitude in this movie.
The take on Knuckles in this movie, it's so interesting because I always sort of like had like an idea of how I imagined Knuckles as like a talking, like actual, you know, real person character in front of me, like how they'd really be. And I never really thought of it, but when I watched this movie, I was like, wait a second, this is what I really kind of thought of as Knuckles. Like, is this kind of knuckle dragging kind of like hillbilly
he's a knuckle dragon,
hillbilly redneck version of Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's sort of how he came across in this movie.
I mean, it's funny you say that because maybe I just didn't pay attention because I was younger than you when I was playing these games, but I always thought Knuckles was like the sophisticated like version of Sonic, you know, like you fucking Neanderthal that's only obsessed about speed. You have no idea the power you hold type of thing. That's kind of always how I always thought about Knuckles, but seeing him in this movie is just like some proto-human type version of Sonic where he's like, no, my people made the power and you stole the power and now I must take power back. Like, I fucking loved it, dude. It's so funny.
It's great, and it's funny because if you would have told me like 5 years ago, hey, they're going to make this Sonic 2 movie 5 years from now and Idris Elba is going to play Knuckles,
Is that Idris Elba?
It's Idris Elba, and like in retrospect, it is, dude. And in retrospect, like it's totally what Knuckles sounded like in my head. Like the way Idris Elba does Knuckles is literally like the voice in my head for Knuckles back in the day.
No doubt. Knuckles was always a brother in my mind.
Yeah, like it's crazy. But like like I said, like 5 years ago, if you told me that, I'd be like, oh no, there's no way he can do Knuckles, because I didn't think of him like. He put something extra on his voice for this, dude. Like, this is not just Idris Elba being Idris Elba. Like, there's a little extra on his voice. I didn't even know
it was Idris. That's crazy that it's him. That makes me really respect him a little bit more, that he went extra for the role.
He fucking totally did. Like, and, you know,
because he knows what red power is about. Okay, Daniel?
He does.
You don't know anything about
red
this,
power.
okay? Red power is something. Okay, dude?
You know, I really like Ben Schwartz's Sonic the Hedgehog, but I will sort of levy a slight criticism against it. It's basically just Ben Schwartz being Ben Schwartz. He doesn't really put much spin on the ball, if you know what I'm saying.
Dude, I think he's way better as John Ralphio.
Oh, yeah.
And Parks and Recs, dude. Yeah, I think that's the pinnacle of his acting. No disrespect to John. Okay, John, my bad if I'm insulting you. Dude, your character in Parks and Recs was superb. And, like, I swear to God, ever since then, you've been chasing the dragon.
Yeah. Well, I think he's a good Sonic, and I don't want them to replace him, but it's like, it's just a coincidence that Ben Schwartz's normal voice sounds like what you would think of as Sonic. That's really all it comes down to, because Ben Schwartz isn't doing anything for his performance. He's just being himself.
Yeah.
Idris Elba, on the other hand, he puts a little spit on the ball. You know, he grabs it, laces out. You know, there's a little extra on it.
Dude, Knuckles was by far I thought Jim Carrey was gonna be my favorite part, which he was close. My favorite part of this movie, but Knuckles by far was my favorite part. His portrayal, dude. The caveman Knuckles was my favorite.
It was really good. It was.
It almost made me think that they need to get rid of the human element of these movies. Because every time I saw Knuckles interacting with Eggman, I was just like, damn, dude. Like, every time there was like a lull with like the FBI, I forget his name. Donut Lord's fucking best friend / FBI agent. Friend.
Wade, you mean? Or
yeah, no. Wade's the sheriff deputy who.
Welcome to the Wade cave.
Yeah, not that guy. I'm talking about the strong black archetype character. Who has the wedding with the.
Right. Yeah, he's a soap opera actor.
He is a soap opera actor. Yeah.
As soon as I saw him, I'm like, dude, that guy was like on a soap opera my mom watched 20 years ago. Like, what?
I just thought like every time the movie went to those parts, and I get it, they were relevant, right? Like the characters were relevant and kind of tied in. Like, you know, the wedding ring got misplaced with the ring that Sonic gave Donut Lord, and you know, it all made sense.
How great was the writing in this movie?
It was good. It was solid.
So well written.
Yeah, I mean, for what it was solid. I'm not going to say it's groundbreaking writing, but I mean, for a children's movie, and it definitely felt like they knew adults were going to watch this movie, and they wanted to make it entertaining for them too.
This is no more a kids movie than Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers was. It's the same thing.
I think it's way more of a kids movie than Chip and Dale's Rescue. Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers felt like, no doubt. I felt like Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers was a cartoon, like a CGI cartoon movie meant for older adults. Like all the references were for older adults. It was like it was a cartoon for adults, not in like
was Sonic 2, though. All the references were old for their boomer references, like.
But they were super out there. Like it was kind of like a nod of the hat type references. Like, yeah, we know you're here type of thing, but you're taking your kid to this movie type of thing, and it's for them mainly, you know. Because it was all really kiddie humor.
The opening scene with Dr. Egghead or Dr. Robotnik
was Mushroom World. It was super
Mushroom
dope.
World. When he's doing his little mouse trap on the invading aliens, he does
Klaatu
Verada Nikto, man. That's like as boomer reference as it gets.
Again, a little tip of the hat to adults.
But there's so many of them. Oh man.
Well, you have to. I mean, you have to understand the premise of this. The whole meta take we're thinking of here is somebody that is wanting to get their kid into Sonic.
I think I know why you have this opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's because Chip and Dale was fourth wall breaking and Sonic 2 wasn't. I think that's where this is coming from, because Chip and Dale, the entire movie is breaking the fourth wall. It's basically talking to you. Sonic 2...
almost to a detriment.
Yes, yeah. Sonic 2 is an actual existing in itself movie that is not breaking the fourth wall at all. So I think that's my theory on why you have that opinion.
Maybe. I mean, back to my original point, though, is I honestly think, like, the only thing bringing down the Sonic movies now is almost the human element. The human element seems boring. Every time they get to like the human side story of everything, it kind of just seems lame. You know?
All right. Well,
like I feel like they need to make like if they like halfway through the movie, Jim Carrey's Eggman just became a cartoon and they went to the cartoon world and Jim Carrey was just voicing Eggman, I would have totally went with it. I would have been like, this is where it should be.
When he gets the Chaos Emerald, he turns into the video game version very briefly. He turns into
Chaos
the video game
Eggman,
version.
Dude.
Yeah. I was like, whoa, dude.
That
was a cool little effect they did.
It was kind of cool, but at the same time, it was kind of lame. I don't know. I thought like the whole like just lightning, it kind of came off Marvel-esque to me. Like they were trying to make an Eggman, a super powerful Eggman.
Oh, you're talking
villain.
about that. I was actually talking about when he first gets the emerald, not like not after, but like, you know, when he first touches it and it does like that, like Super Saiyan power up thing around him.
Yeah.
For a minute, or not for a minute, for a few seconds, they overlay the video game version of Robotnik over him. And it was sick looking.
Yeah, that's exactly why I brought it up. I thought they were going to go cartoon world at that moment. I was
that would have been tight.
If they just went pure cartoon world with Sonic at that point, like Toy Story but Sonic, I would have totally accepted it. Absolutely accepted it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's what's his name that plays Donut Lord? He's cool. You know, like he's a good actor.
They didn't give him a lot to chew on in this movie, man. He got sidelined a little bit.
But all the best parts of the movie are all CGI, which just made me think like, why are they even adding the human element and the budget involved with doing the human element? You know, like just go CGI.
I mean, like I don't know. Like I get what you're saying, and I agree with you that all of the animated parts are all like undoubtedly, undisputedly the best parts of the movie. But
it's just weird that like I feel like after 2 movies, I'm still suspending the disbelief of Sonic being in a human world. Like why? It's like Chip and Dale really I think
because
Chip
it broke the fourth wall, so you accept it.
Yeah, it really made you put a magnifying glass on the idea that there's like CGI and human worlds mixing, and it's like a trendy thing right now. It's like, I mean, you can't really explain it. There's no explaining it away. Like, why are the chipmunks digital, but there's human beings walking around and they're in a human world? Like, why aren't they in the digital world? with the rest of the characters you grew up and loved.
Right. Yeah,
it was weird.
And one it reminds me of one kind of question I had about this movie was, the part at the wedding, which, by the way, I think, like, if you had, like, your argument for saying get rid of the human element, I think this whole wedding thing is the argument. That was the only part of the movie. Now, there are a few parts, admittedly, that I laughed at. But, like, when she's, like, in the golf cart trying to run over her fake fiance and being an angry black woman, that was pretty fucking hilarious.
It was super funny. Don't get me wrong. She's like, I have some words to discuss with my husband. It's murder. I thought that was
I love that woman. And,
she's good.
We reviewed the first Sonic, and I don't remember exactly what I said about her in the first one, but I liked her in the first one, too. I don't know if I expressed that a lot, but she was even better in this one. Like, I swear to God, every time that bitch opened her mouth, I was laughing. Like, she's just amazing in that role.
Yeah, she has good high energy for the role she plays, but I don't know. I think me and you are on the opposite of the scene, like you use that scene as like almost like the one bad human scene or real life scene in the movie, where I look at it as the only good human scene in the movie.
That's, dude, that's crazy. Yeah. So you didn't like any of the Robotnik shit? Because that was some of my favorite parts of this movie were Robotnik.
I mean, I put Robotnik out of it. Jim Carrey is a completely different story.
Well, like, everything other than the wedding is Robotnik, right? Like, what else is there?
No, Donut Lord. Like,
that's all the wedding, though.
I'm looking at 1 and 2 as a whole. Like just it encompassing the human world, like the snowboarding scene down the mountains, then leading to the wedding scene, which was super cool. But the only reason it was cool is because you were looking at Sonic doing the Sonic Adventure snowboarding shit, and you're like, GameCube Sonic, dope. Yeah. Like, so it was still the digital part. It had, like, if those were digital mountains or like semi real-esque mountains, you wouldn't have given a fuck. Like, it's the same writing, the same voice actors, the same premise. I just feel like the human elements of the movies are almost holding them back at this point. Like, they could be doing more Sonics, and Sega could be expanding their universe as a whole, and digital movies based on games could be way more further if they just didn't try to, like, be like, well, how do we tie this to reality, and how do we have a human protagonist in it as well? Like, if it works, right? When in Sonic it does, especially Sonic 1. It really, Donut Lord was dope.
Yeah. In
Sonic 1. Sonic 2, he kind of took a back seat, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But if it works, it works.
Yeah.
But I feel like it shouldn't be like this necessity. Like, how do we tie these tried and true cartoon video game characters, old 90s cartoons, or late 90s cartoons, or 80s cartoons, whatever you want to say, into this weird hybrid style movie? I feel like that is just kind of holding Sonic back at this point. That's my opinion.
I guess, but I agree with you a little bit, but not really. Like, I can see where you're coming from, but I don't agree with you for a few different reasons. There's just too many scenes with humans that I really like. Just like the opening scene with Sonic, which takes place in Seattle. They filmed it in Seattle, like pre-Chaz, so like Seattle wasn't a shithole yet at this point. And it was really cool to see Sonic the Hedgehog pretending to be Batman in Seattle. Like, there was something really special about that. I loved the animations. I loved the whole scene. I loved his interactions with and this is where my disagreement comes from, with the jailed guard. Like, when Sonic takes it, and then, like, the jail guard just sits there and talks shit to Sonic the whole time. Like, you're a shitty hero. Like, there are bombs there. Like, he's like, the bombs are fine. They're not even lit. And then they start getting lit, and he's like, never mind. We're all gonna die.
Like, dude, you need to chill, dude. It was a good scene. Don't get me wrong.
I liked that. I really did. I like the scene in Siberia too, where fucking Sonic and Tails show up to this, like, mountain lodge with a bunch of drunk Russians, And they think they're about to just get fucking ritually sacrificed in a fucking fire. And it turns into like this weird dance off, which this whole scene kind of reminded me of Harold and Kumar a little bit. It felt like something out of a Harold and Kumar movie. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, you have a point. I mean, there's no doubt about it, but I don't know. I just feel like my point's stronger, you know? Like,
yes.
I feel like what I'm saying makes more sense in an intellectual way.
My argument it's a little higher IQ, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I'm just saying that if they would go with my idea, we'd have 3 more fucking Sonics right now, and we'd be crying about Sonic 4, you know, where they're melting in the toy pit furnace shit type level storyline shit.
Another thing I
really love Knuckles. Why is he had to go? Love
Another
Caveman
thing
Knuckles.
I really liked from the opening scene with Robotnik was the Tom Hanks reference. What was that movie with Tom Hanks on the island?
Oh, Castaway.
Castaway.
You're talking about Eggman naming the stone after his little henchman.
Yes, that was definitely a Castaway reference, and I love how he involved it in the plan as one of the traps when the aliens came. He shot it at him.
I had a question. Now
awesome.
that we're talking about movie references, I had a question for you. Did you see any other movie references that stood out to you?
Oh, I'm sure I did. I mean, obviously,
what's like an important one? Because I saw it almost immediately, and I looked it up after the fact. I was just like, "Whoa, wait a minute! Is this a reference to?"
Give me a hint. What scene is it from? Like, where at in the movie is it?
The power goes out at the house for Sonic. It's the first reveal of Dr. Robotnik for Sonic as a character. Like, he realizes Dr. Robotnik's back.
You know, it's funny you say that now, because I remember when I saw that scene, I felt like it was familiar for some reason, but I couldn't put a finger on it, no.
When I immediately saw it, I thought it was a Cable Guy reference, because the cable goes out and the TV, it just goes static, right?
Uh-huh.
And then the doorbell rings and Jim Carrey's there. And instead of him holding the cable, you know,
oh, he's holding the feather.
He's holding his finger, his electrical finger.
It's one of Sonic's feathers, right? Or like one of his whatever.
No, well, his quills, but
Quill.
No,
yeah,
like for some reason right? his hand was just gestured oddly, and it's like, you know, the glove he uses to command his robots. He does his slow finger commands.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for some reason, one of his fingertips was like glowing with yellow electricity. I don't know why. This was before he got the Chaos Emerald and shit.
Huh.
But for some reason, it was like glowing with electricity. Like he was the reason the power went out, type of thing. I think that was why they did the special effect. They're somehow trying to insinuate his glove, like, is holding residual energy from whatever he killed to make the power go out.
Okay.
But,
interesting.
Yeah, but that felt like a Cable Guy reference. I remember looking it up. I just immediately looked up Sonic 2 Jim Carrey references, and there was like a huge list of references, and not one of them was Cable Guy references. And I was like, man, am I just making this up in my head? But that whole scene felt Cable Guy.
He even said, like, "Did you miss me?" And I'm pretty sure that's a line that he said in Cable Guy too at one point, right?
Exactly,
so you're probably
dude.
absolutely right about that. Interesting. So, Broadcaster, I also have some interesting news about the person who voice acted Tails. Do you know anything about her?
Sam, Elliot Page.
Close. Her name is actually the same as our mom's, Colleen, and she has a very
way to dox us, dude. Get one checkerboard square closer to doxing us, dude.
Yeah, for those keeping track at home. Your bingo card just got another stamp on it. Colleen Ann O'Shaughnessy. I'm not sure if that's an Irish last name or if it's a Indian last name.
One more time. One more
Colleen Ann O'Shaughnessy.
Ann O'Shaughnessy?
O'Shaughnessy is how it.
O'Shaughnessy.
It's a very weird name. Anyway, she has voice acted. She's not really a movie or like a real like voice actor or like a person in Hollywood. She's like a video game and anime voice actor. And I mean, obviously she does dub work, so me and you won't be too familiar. I don't think you watch very many dubs, nor do I. But just a note that she played Konohamaru in the Naruto dub.
No way.
Yeah, and
he played a pubescent boy in fucking anime. Wow.
Wow. Yeah. She also played Yuichi from Bleach. I won't go over. There's a lot. She played a lot of characters. The hot chick.
Oh, the redhead?
No. She's the. Okay, well maybe I'm wrong. It's been so long since I watched Bleach.
Because there was like the main chick was a redhead, wasn't it?
I thought Yuichi was the hot chick that taught Ichigo. Like I thought, you know how Ichigo had like a super hot chick that was like a cat, but she was also like a hot chick that taught him how to use his power. She was friends with Kurohaba or whatever his first teacher was with the hat. God, I need to rewatch Bleach. It's been so long. Kurohara, I think he's his name. You don't remember his second master being a hot chick who turned into a cat? Like that's like what I remember most from that show.
I know who you're talking about. I just never thought of her as like the main. I always thought of what's her name, like his actual like the redhead chick, and then Rukia. It was always Rukia and then the redhead chick from the human world.
Well, the redhead chick definitely had like some of the best breasts in anime history, but that's Bleach. Bleach in general is basically just a collection of the
state-of-the-art breast animation in Bleach for the time. All right, they were breaking ground. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't want to go too deep into the anime because we don't watch dubs. But what I did want to go,
crevice, you know what I'm saying?
what I did want to go deep into is the video game credits, because that is where we have seen a lot of dubs, mostly because most video games don't offer Japanese vocals, especially not back in the day. Yeah. She played Cosmos in Xenosaga.
Really?
She's fucking Cosmos, bro.
Wow, what a fucking blast from the past, dude.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. She also had a role in Metal Gear Solid 4 that we were talking about earlier. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. I don't think she was like a major character, but she was in it.
No way. From what's her name from number 1? She's credited. She's part of like the Rat Squad or whatever.
She's credited as soldiers, so I don't know what that means exactly.
Okay,
she might just be an NPC. Soldier. I'm not sure, but also, she plays Tails in all of the Sonic and the Hedgehog video games since 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's been playing Tails in all the video games for over a decade.
Dude, she's holding it down as Tails.
Yeah, I knew when I was listening to Tails in this movie, like the voice actor for Tails had this
12-year gauntlet on Tails.
She had like a confidence in the role that seemed weird, because I'm like, okay, like why? Like this person, it's like they're busting out this Tails performance, and it feels so confident.
Yeah, it does. It really did.
And then when I looked this up and I saw them, like, it made so much sense. Like, she's been playing Tails. Like, she is Tails at this point.
Yeah, the opposite. It is so funny when you think about it in contrast to Knuckles. I'm not saying Knuckles' voice actor is bad, because, again, I loved the portrayal of Knuckles. But when you really think about it, both those characters were introduced in this movie, And Tails just kind of came off as always being there type of thing, like she was like just born for it. And Knuckles kind of came in like very abrasively, like,
Yes.
It's funny when you think about that. I wonder if it was some psychological shit with the voice acting.
Yeah, it definitely could have been. Yeah, so anyway, I was really impressed with her performance, and like so much to the point where I looked it up after I watched the movie just to see who it was, and then I found all this out, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes some sense.
12 years holding down a voice acting gig of one character. That's impressive, especially because she sounds young. So
yeah. Well, I'm sure that helped with Konohamaru.
So that means that she's been holding down Tails from a pretty young age.
Yeah. Yep. So Sonic's performance is pretty good. It's better, I think, than the first movie. Do you agree with that? The voice acting performance?
I honestly thought maybe it's not the voice acting performance, but the dialogue for Sonic was weaker in this movie than in the first one.
Maybe a little bit.
I felt like I was more pumped for Sonic in the first movie than I was in this one. Maybe that could just because my boy Knuckles is in the movie. But I don't know. The dialogue for Sonic felt really like, I'm not going to go as far as say phoned in, but just kind of mediocre in the intermission type scene. Like the first scene with the armored truck was pretty good. Like all that dialogue seemed really well written. And then, towards the end where they were getting into the temple with, dude, speaking of that, getting to the hidden temple, the ancient temple, and seeing the maze and stuff like that. That was super cool. His intro going down the little fucking water slide, just like in the video game, super cool. But I felt like, like when it got to that point, the dialogue was pretty strong for Sonic, but previously, like even in the snowboarding scene and stuff like that, I just felt like all of his dialogue was kind of just meh, like.
Interesting.
All
right.
It didn't seem as memorable. I felt like I was way more pumped up for the first Sonic than I was for this one. For Sonic himself.
Interesting. I mean, maybe,
but,
you're right.
The screen was being shared with Tails and Knuckles at the same time.
There was a lot of shared spotlight in this movie. Not even just the three animated characters. Like Robotnik got so much dialogue and screen time.
Yeah.
It's funny too. I really was expecting, and I don't know if this is just like me reading too much into the end of one, but like when he got marooned on the mushroom planet, and then I saw like the little, like it opens up with that little mouse trap thing to introduce Robotnik. Yeah. I really was expecting him to be fat, like the Robotnik from the video games. I was thinking they were going to write it in that like he just got super fat just eating shit tons of mushrooms all the time because like he's just surrounded by them. So I was just thinking this dude's just eating like kilotons of mushrooms and he's going to be wearing like a giant fat suit or something. Didn't happen.
That would have been cool.
But I just really expected it for some reason. In fact, like if there was one disappointment,
listen, dude, Jim Carrey is not Christian Bale, okay?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was kind of thinking we were going to get, but no. But that aside, I really, really loved Robotnik in this, and it seems like you didn't love him as much as I did. You had more problems with him. Well, you were saying that you didn't like his scenes with Knuckles. So because I loved his scenes with Knuckles. Honestly, I have to give this man a lot of credit. Every single scene in this movie is him acting with a stick.
Did I say I didn't like his scenes with Knuckles?
Yeah, that was one of your examples when you were saying you wanted to get rid of the human elements. You thought that like whenever you saw Knuckles with Dr. Robotnik, it like rubbed you the wrong way or something like that. I don't remember exactly how you worded it, but it was one of your examples earlier.
I maybe like 3 hard ciders deep, but I don't remember saying that.
Okay,
but
well, maybe I misunderstood what you were saying.
I definitely still think the human element is too much in this movie, the second movie, in consideration of the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, Jim Carrey knocked it out of the park with Eggman. I thought it was dope.
It's funny
He's
because
definitely the best thing for the human element in the movie. He is like the pinnacle of when it comes to the human element in the movie.
I think that let me just say this. I am a lifelong hardcore Jim Carrey fan. I've seen every movie he's ever been in. Most of them I've seen 25 fucking times or more, like Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, like certain movies of his I have seen way more than anyone should see a single movie. I also watched him back in the day in Living Color. Like I was a little fucking toddler watching him in Living Color as my indoctrination into comedy was him being Fire Marshal Dan or Fire Marshal Bill. I forget, whatever. Like that was like me, like being introduced to comedy was literally Jim Carrey. So when I say that this is one of my favorite Jim Carrey roles of all time, like I'm not like, that's not an easy thing for me to say, but it is. I was baffled by how good this performance was, how much heart he put into it. He did not phone this in whatsoever. Every scene he was doing crazy facial expressions and doing all these weird things. Yeah. Like the scene where Knuckles first thinks he's going to get betrayed by Robotnik and the robots are aiming at him and he's like, "Oh, I'll fucking crush your robots, Robotnik." And then he realizes that Robotnik's making stairs for him. First of all, I love the synergy between them. This is like the type of acting synergy you see between Knuckles and Robotnik is usually only seen with 2 humans. You don't see this with a fucking stick being voice acted in post. The way that they go together is crazy good. And when
way better in contrast to fucking Donut Lord and Sonic, like in the boat scene in the middle of the lake when he's clearly talking to a stick person in that boat. Sonic's not real. It seemed way more phoned in compared. Yeah.
I think our boy Boomer Cyclops really didn't do great in this movie. I think he's one of the weaker links in this movie.
Yeah, it's weird because he was way better in the first one.
I think that he was insulted by the script, by his reduced role, and he phoned it in response. That's what I think. That's my theory. Because he really didn't put any heart into this performance whatsoever. And to the point where certain scenes, I almost rolled my eyes at him. Like, it's just like weird. Like you could just 100% tell he was acting with a stick, like the opposite of Robotnik, just the polar opposite. But anyway, back to my point about Robotnik. When Knuckles crawls up those robot stairs, you see Robotnik doing his little his little dance thing that he did in the video game. And the way that Jim Carrey delivered that was such pizzazz. Like that was not a phoned in version of that. That was his own version that he sort of like took and made. And he did that in almost every scene in a way.
Oh, no doubt. I think Jim Carrey's having a renaissance of like his own acting career because he definitely went through a little dark age.
Oh, for sure.
Where he tried doing sequels to tried and true comedies that he did, and it really sucked. And he was, I don't know what he was going through, but Sonic, maybe it's just a standalone. Maybe Sonic's just a standalone thing, but his portrayal of Dr. Eggman is one of his best acting portrayals ever in the last 15, 20 years.
I will put it up there with Dumb and Dumber, with Ace Ventura. My favorite, I'll put it up there with my favorites. In fact, I will say those were in the 90s.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And like, what was like even like some of his like middle tier stuff, like Me, Myself, and Irene. I put it up with all.
Wait a minute, whoa! That wasn't him. That was Ben Stiller.
No, it was not.
Wait a minute. What?
Me, Myself, and Irene was Jim Carrey.
No. That's Ben Stiller.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, no.
You're thinking about Something About Mary.
Yeah, I am thinking about Something About Mary.
Anyway, my point being here is, for a movie that a lot of people will look at as a joke, a lot of people will be like, why would Jim Carrey do that? He's just lost it. He's just a B-list celebrity now, or whatever you want to say. This movie, he fucking approached this movie the same way Tom Cruise approaches Top Gun. Okay, that is how fucking Jim Carrey approached Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and the man deserves credit for it.
You know what that approach is? It's fucking people that were part of Hollywood when it was fucking cool, and they're looking at all these fucking losers ruining Hollywood, and they're like, let's take this back. Let's do this.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, it's, man. Like, there's certain scenes. There's like no throwaway scenes in this movie other than, I want to say, kind of the whole wedding thing. Which, I mean, if you're real about it, that's like what, like 10 minutes of the movie out of a 2-hour movie. So it's not a lot.
I didn't even say it's that bad of a. It's not like a bad plot point. It's just bad, like, scenage wise. Like, it's sort of like progression visually in the movie, and like lull wise, it's just not that good. But his plot development is still a solid point, because the way the ring ties into the wedding, like, it's multi-leveled. It's well written.
It was very well written, and that's kind of my point. Is like this is the worst part of the movie for me, and it's still good. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. Like, we talked about the crazy fiance trying to run down the fake fiance with the golf cart. Like, that was classic. Then we have Boomer Cyclops' phone going off, playing the original Sonic theme as his ringtone multiple times, with the fiance just starting to scream at him. I love that chick. Every time she opened her mouth, I smiled. And then all the way to the part where, he gets in touch with Sonic, and Sonic is snowboarding, about to die, and his solution is to punch the fiance to get the ring. Like, everything about it was cool, but it was still the weakest part of the movie to me. There's no throwaway scenes in this movie. Even stuff like where they first find the way to the Chaos Emerald Temple, and they just show up on this little tiny island, and then they like access the rune, and it opens the laser bridge across the water. Then the whole ocean opens up to like, if you think about it, that's kind of a throwaway scene in most movies, but in that movie, it was like, wow.
Part to me, because when, like, if you really think about it objectively, like, the way it just conveniently turns out that the wedding on the Hawaiian island is like directly adjacent to the island that the fucking Chaos Emerald's on, and like that's happens to be where the portal is going to open up and put Sonic. Like, that was the laziest part of the writing to me. It was like, well, that was pretty fucking convenient.
It's very convenient. I agree. It is very convenient on a planet the size of Earth that it just happens to be next to Hawaii. But if you think about it, that's where you would think a hidden jungle temple would be, right? Like in an island in the fucking Pacific somewhere. So I mean,
it's just like, it's like a Chinese finger trap though, because when they're inside, when they're at the mountain, and like it's like all the villains are getting away with the map or whatever, and you're getting marooned on the mountain or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, my last ditch emergency escape plan just coincidentally puts me fucking less than 30 miles away from where the bad guys just went to.
I agree with you. It's super convenient. It is. But that one's tough for me, because I think that the writing is solid, and like, think about how much worse it would have been if the temple wasn't near that island, and like they made up some bullshit like, oh, they just somehow traveled half across the world in 4 hours. You know what I mean? Because they do that a lot in movies. You'll see that in movies all the time, where people travel an obscene amount of distance way too fast, and they just don't even talk about it. They just, oh, that's normal. People teleport in the world.
Yeah. True. So they should have done the Undercity. They should have done the Undercity level. There should have been a subhuman species underneath Earth. They somehow tied in the fucking underwater sewage levels, which were my favorite levels in Sonic 2, and I have still not seen a representation of them in the movies, and I am mad, because this was Sonic 2, and I was expecting Sonic 2 city levels, and that's bullshit.
Well, one thing I will say is, for like what I want to see from Sonic 3 if Sonic 3 gets made, and I'm assuming it will based on the box office, because I think correct me if I'm wrong.
Shadow literally got fucking shown at the last bit, didn't he?
Right. Well, I know they want to make a sequel, but my point is they made $400 million on like a $50 million budget or something. So like the movie was a huge success. So I'm guessing that it will get a sequel. There's two things that must happen in this sequel. First of all, you have to get Jim Carrey back. I don't care how good Knuckles is, how good any of them are. Without Robotnik, without Jim Carrey, I think this whole thing falls apart. And I don't know how interested Jim Carrey is in doing a third. It seems like he loves the series and he put a lot of heart into this performance, but you never know. Jim Carrey's one of those guys that's like, his heart is as the wind in constant motion. You never know what drugs he's going to be on and what weird decision he's going to make.
I think we're kind of past that Jim Carrey.
Maybe.
I feel like Jim Carrey's really starting to come back into his old school 90s form, where he knows who he is.
I hope so.
Doing two Sonic movies so rock solid as Dr. Robotnik, it just brings me back to like when he was doing one-off comedies before the sequel days where you kind of were getting let down,
Yeah, well, I also really, even though they didn't put a fat suit on him, they did make him way more like the real Robotnik from the video games in this movie. Like all the way to the mustache, to the bald head, to the caricature, like we talked about his little jig dance he does with Knuckles. Like there's all that is all from the video games. Almost all of it.
What about G Gundam? G Gundam Robotnik, dude.
Yes.
Again, that was Sonic Adventures. Like they had so many Sonic Adventures.
Way more than I expected. Yeah,
dude, it was insane.
I thought they were going to wait
GameCube Sonic for the win.
I didn't think we were going to get to GameCube Sonic till like Sonic 4. So they really busted that shit out early. They kind of threw the kitchen sink at this movie. If you look at it, it's like it's all like they weren't sure if another one would get made. So like, let's just go all in on this one just in case.
Dude, they even had the Red Baron propeller plane intro. It was like Sonic, and they had the Sonic and Knuckles intro for Sonic 2 at the end of Sonic 2.
Yeah, it was
super
great.
Awesome.
That whole final scene with G Gundam Robotnik with tails flying the plane with Sonic and Knuckles on it. Everything about that was perfect. It gave me goosebumps. One thing I want to go before I want to talk about this final scene, but before that, I want to finish what I was saying before. The second thing I want in Sonic 3, other than Robotnik coming back, and this is something to do with what you said earlier, more Sonic the Hedgehog game levels. I want more levels from the games. Like I want the industrial zone. I want the casino zone. I want all of these fucking levels. They have an opportunity now because in this second movie, they really showed that they can do it. Like the Hidden Temple was a perfect example of it. That was straight out of the video games. They can do it then.
Well done too. The way he came into the level was like straight. It just made you immediately think of the video game.
Hell yes, it was great. But anyway, going back to that final scene. That gave me goosebumps. Like, it was so perfect. We're talking about with the fucking airplane going into like, it's just like, it's one of those boomer moments when like, you're seeing something that you've been waiting for 30 years and you're just like, holy shit, this is happening right now. I'm watching this.
Yeah, it's almost it's a weird moment to encapsulate because you're like wondering what it really means to you, but it's just cool because when you see things well done like that, that like someday you're gonna be able to proudly show it to like people you care about, like younger people you care about. Or it's just like you're not going to be ashamed and try to hide it. You're like, that doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
When you see stuff like Sonic 1 and 2, you're just like, dope. It's like, sure, it's not the same, but you're going to be able to like show like an 8-year-old nephew or son or whatever and be like, well, I remember when I was your age and I was doing this and that. And you're going to be able to have those moments,
Totally. I tried to get my daughter to watch it with me. She was not interested and didn't watch it, but I tried.
Yeah. Well. I think she's a little young still.
A little, yeah. We'll circle back to it.
She's trying to put high scores up on video games, then we'll get back.
The other thing I fucking loved about this final scene, I mean, it's more of like a series of scenes, but like basically from the moment Robotnik gets the Chaos Emerald to the end is basically the final scene in my head. And
which is a long final scene.
It is like very
40
long.
minutes of Dr. Robotnik getting a Chaos Emerald.
But when the G Gundam first goes into operation, what do they fucking play but motherfucking Pantera, bro? I'm just sitting here like, are you kidding me right now? I'm hearing Dimebag Daryl with fucking Jim Carrey playing Robotnik with this giant G Gundam robot. Like, I'm just like, what the fuck? Why do I deserve this? It was so great. It was perfect. It was perfection. I love that shit.
Rest in piss, Phil and Selmo, but you know,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. So I have a question for you. When you saw Sonic crawling so like eventually Knuckles is the one who punches the Chaos Emerald out of Robotnik. Him and Tails go on like an operation to infiltrate. They get to Robotnik. They punch the Chaos Emerald out. It falls out, and you know this is kind of a little convenient too. But it lands close to Sonic, who's basically beat the fuck up. He starts crawling towards it to get it before Robotnik does. First of all, when the fucking red eyes turn on in the background, another total Gundam moment.
Yeah, dude, it's Zaku. That was a Zaku turning on, dude.
Yeah, man. I was like,
you're like, damn, Robotnik has some fucking strong Char Principality of Sion energy right now.
Exactly. As he was crawling towards the Chaos Emerald, did you immediately say to yourself, oh, he's going to become Golden Sonic like I did?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I saw it coming from a mile away.
Okay.
There was strong Frieza Saga energy coming up here.
It was, yeah, for sure. I really thought they were going to save Golden Sonic a little bit. Like, it's weird how much got put in this movie. Like I said, they threw the kitchen sink at this. You get you get Knuckles, Golden Sonic, you get all this shit from Adventures. It ends with a mid-credit scene with Shadow.
Yeah. It's smart though that they did the Golden Sonic, but then in the after credit scene they introduced Shadow Sonic, because that's the whole point of Golden Sonic. So it would have been weird if they never even referenced Shadow, So yeah, nonetheless.
Yeah, well, I mean, Golden Sonic debuted way before Shadow, but I see what you're saying.
But plot device wise,
right?
They writ Golden Sonic's powers wise as like the anti to, well, more like Shadow's the anti to Golden Sonic,
right?
Yep.
Yeah, so fucking Golden Sonic was awesome, and you're right about the Frieza Saga energy. When fucking Golden Sonic held back the punch with his finger, that was some real Super Saiyan Goku shit right there.
I saw that, I was like, damn, dude. I mean, they're skipping a little bit to when Frieza's mechanicals fucking get chopped up to bits, but I mean, I felt it.
It was good. Then the thing I love most about this, by the way, another kind of weird, awkward performance with Boomer Cyclops, where he's just not really selling very well that he's acting with a real thing when he's like telling, oh, you're my family and all this stuff. I was just kind of like, okay, there's something about it. It's like he's not looking in the right spot or something. I'm not quite sure what it is, but you just feel it with him in almost every scene with Sonic. But what I really loved is when they're approaching Golden Sonic and Knuckles holds him back. And he's like, no, that's not the Sonic you know anymore. And then Golden Sonic like rips open a portal to the fucking cosmos in the sky above. And you're like thinking, oh, Golden Sonic is about to like throw some serious shit down. And instead he summons a chili dog. That was just great. I love, because like that scene was so serious. The show got so serious for a while. And then they're just not afraid to be like, and back to slapstick humor.
Well, you kind of have to. You can't, like, that's the mountain of Sonic. You can't really take it past that peak, or
But
you get
knowing,
into, like, a non-kid movie.
Knowing you have to is half the battle there. Because a lot of people would, like, you say that you have to do it, but a lot of inexperienced, not so good directors / writers / whoever is in charge might say, nah, we're not going to do that. We're gonna end it on this serious note.
Sonic could be so much more, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
What if he joined Antifa right after this?
You're not my dad, Alfred.
Oh man. So yeah. That's basically the movie, Broadcaster. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
I mean, I think I want to give a shout out to Idris Elba.
Yeah.
That guy,
really good.
You know, he just seems to be a dude that does not take himself seriously. You know? Every time I see that guy pop into a role, it's like, sometimes it's like soap opera-esque roles. Sometimes it's fucking comedic roles. Sometimes it's Stephen King movies. It's just like, that guy, it's like, he doesn't seem to say no to a lot of roles. So the fact that he just pops up as Knuckles, and I didn't even recognize him playing Knuckles, you gotta like point it out. You know, salute.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I hope going forward, because you said Sonic 2 made 350 million profit.
So close to that, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, going forward, I mean, this is obviously going to show people, because this is the second iteration, that video games, cartoon movies can work. I just hope that most of them take this approach, you know, like the Chip and Dale Sonic approach, where it's like, you're not taking the IP too ridiculously serious, but at the same time, you're not ruining it. You're not just totally trying to use a face and put it on like this totally different universe / world. Because Sonic 1 and 2 kind of stand out as like prime examples on how to handle inversion IP, you know, cartoons to live action or live action to cartoons in a movie sense. Because there's not a lot of great examples out there, if I'm really thinking about it.
No, honestly, it's weird. Like, we were in this like kind of animated movie renaissance, I feel like, right now, because for a good chunk of time there, I feel like every single animated movie I watched was just garbage. And like, even the ones that were good were still only mediocre. Like, the one that really comes to mind is Wreck-It Ralph. I remember when Wreck-It Ralph came out, everyone was like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever, blah, blah, blah. And I remember watching it and being, and you know, I enjoyed there was even a Sonic reference in Wreck-It Ralph. So like, it's, you know, full circle here, but it wasn't like as great as people said. And it was still just like, okay, but we can do better than this. Like, this is still just sort of like Pixar drivel. And, now, like with the Chip and Dale movie, with both these Sonic movies, I just feel like we're entering this new period where people are like, we can make high budget, awesome cartoon-based movies that are not insulting to the people they're targeted at. Like, that are just like good. Like, they're not like, we have to make it for the kids, and then like we'll throw a couple bones to the adults. Like, no kids want to watch Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. None do. And if they made the decision for that movie to be like much more like based with kids stuff, and then like sprinkle in a couple of things that we would have enjoyed, that movie would have sucked. And it would have been nothing like what it ended up being, which is just like this great, like, sort of, it still wasn't rated R. It was still like something kids could watch, but like, it was made for us, not for them.
For sure. It kind of just gives me hope that like all these cartoons and IPs that we grew up with have room in the adult part of our lives. You know, like I would never imagine like the little toaster that could getting an adaptation. But now that I've seen Sonic 2 and like Chip and Dale's and stuff like that, I'm just like, I don't know. They might be able to fucking pull it off. Like, imagine an older, haggard little toaster. You know, it's he's past his time. You know, he's like totally sitting in a fucking Goodwill somewhere, and he has to escape.
Hell yes, and like it really does. It opens the door for all these other things that you would have thought. No, I don't even want them to like. Think about all of the things from our childhood that are currently getting sodomized by Hollywood.
Yeah,
so many, but. Now it's like you see these examples, you're like, oh shit, this can be done the right way. And shows like maybe Johnny Bravo is a good example. Like this show that was kind of for tweens back in the day that you grew up with. I was kind of aging out of it as it came out. It was a little too young for me, but I still watched it and enjoyed it. Stuff like that, like a couple of years ago, I'd be like, no, don't do it. Don't touch it. Just don't. Now you see stuff like this, you're like, well, maybe they actually can do things like Johnny Bravo and not totally fucking ruin it.
Yeah. I'd be really, even the more like timeless things like the Boomerang cartoons, you know, like Scooby-Doo and
Hanna-Barbera stuff.
Yeah, Hanna-Barbera. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Fucking, like, I think Scooby-Doo movies were bad. But now that like there's some new blood, like our generation is starting to get into these actual roles where they're in charge of making this stuff. It kind of seems like cartoons like Scooby-Doo could come back in a live action sense. Like they actually might be able to pull it off this time.
Yeah. Yeah, the door definitely feels open now, where before like I was in the process of nailing it shut. Now I feel like the door is a bit open now on that type of stuff where you're not as worried.
Like imagine an Instagram model reference from Fred in a getting pulled over. Like remember that cringy scene from the female cop in the Scooby-Doo movie where Fred was flirting with her?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
That scene could be so much better in the right hands, and I'm just thinking about it in my head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Anyways.
All right, broadcaster. Well, as you know, here in the Crack Cellar, we have a official, patented Ghostbusters rating system that we use for all of our reviews. And on that system, broadcaster, what do you rate Sonic the Hedgehog 2?
I'm going to give it Stay Puft Marshmallow. Solid. In the end, it is a cartoon movie. It's not revolutionary by any sense. Solid flick. I love how there's no blasphemous actions in it, you know? They didn't ruin the existing IP. I don't know. I just can't. These movies, they just are what they are. I feel like I can't give them too high of fucking grade because it's just a Sonic movie. I give it a high Stay Puft. The highest. The Stay Puft has reached the top of the tower.
The Machu Picchu Golden God.
Yeah, and it did not get burned. It got perfectly browned on the campfire. Okay, golden brown,
motherfucker.
This is golden. Yeah, this is golden brown Stay Puft, dude. Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm not talking about the famous song about heroin from what was that? Who's that? It's a band. Was that in fucking? Fuck, what am I? Never mind. Sorry, kids. I know there's a really good song called Golden Brown out there by some famous band. It's really good. It was in Snatch.
Yes.
Anyways.
Well, Broadcaster, it seems that it's funny, we have totally reversed from our last episode. Last episode, we did Chip and Dale. You gave it an S rank. I gave it an A rank. And now we're going to do the opposite. It's very interesting. And your argument for giving Chip and Dale an S rank is my exact argument for giving Sonic 2 an S rank. What was wrong with this movie? I don't think anything was really wrong with this movie, other than maybe Boomer Cyclops' phoned-in performance, but he was like a third tertiary character. He wasn't even a secondary character in this movie. He barely was involved. Like, the movie had really nothing to do with him. He was just there to be a father figure for 5 minutes of the movie. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that's it. That's the only criticism I can come up with. I fucking loved almost everything else about this movie. I loved the snowboarding. I loved all the adventuring with Knuckles and Robotnik. I loved all the comedy. I loved all the voice acting. I loved all the in-video game locations. Like, I love this fucking movie. I just do. Like, it's one of those movies where I'm just going to look at it and be like, that is an example of a perfect Sonic the Hedgehog movie. There was nothing wrong with it. From beginning to end, I enjoyed it. And there's almost nothing I would change. In fact, I don't even think I'd change Boomer Cyclops. Even like with my sort of semi-disappointment in him, I don't even think I'd change that. I think it was just a perfect movie. And maybe perfection can't be perfect. Maybe that's the lesson of this review.
Yeah, I mean, you also have to consider, like, Sonic made a lot bigger of an imprint on you than it did me.
True, but that's the same for Rescue Rangers too.
Exactly.
And I still
went
the other direction.
I had nightmares about Rescue Rangers. You know, like, I remember seeing that bitch on the crocodiles going across the swamp, and I was like, as a little kid, I was like, fuck, that bitch is scary. You know, so Rescue Rangers has a huge imprint on my head. So when I saw the new Rescue Rangers, I was like, my childhood, member berries.
True, yeah.
Member berries.
That is probably the exact same thing that's happening here with me and Sonic, because Sonic is like a fucking integral cornerstone pillar of my childhood growing up. It's kind of crazy, honestly, looking back on it. But the first Sonic the Hedgehog game was just revolutionary. Like, it's hard to explain to someone that wasn't, like, at the right age to be, like, either, like, you were too old to care about video games or you were too young to really understand how revolutionary Sonic was. But the speed of Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Genesis was unprecedented in video games. When you first played that game, you looked around, you're like, is this real? How did they do this? This isn't what video games are.
Yeah. The sound was really cool in that game too. I remember the charge up for Sonic turning into the ball does sound, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That really stuck out to me as a kid.
Yeah.
I remember not really hearing anything else like RPGs kind of got close when they did like super cool like moments in game cutscenes, you know, when a character did like a cool like Luminaire-esque move from like Chrono Trigger or something, but nothing ever really got close to the little Foley sound they had for Sonic doing the charge up spin ball.
Yeah.
And it was a really well designed sound.
And we didn't really talk about this too much, but the fight with Knuckles and Sonic in the temple, where fucking Sonic does his super spin hammer move into the bridge and just buries Knuckles. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That was fucking sick as hell.
That was pretty dope.
That was such a perfect use of the spin ball attack, like in a very Sonic spin ball kind of way, which also is very like fringe association. There's so many different Sonic games referenced in this movie. Like, it isn't just Sonic 2, it's Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic Adventures, Sonic Spinball, probably more that I'm not thinking of right now. It's a tour de force. And so was Jim Carrey's performance as Dr. Robotnik, which I will remember for the rest of my life, I think. It's just one of those performances that's hard to quantify, like how it's even possible. You know, you think Jim Carrey's washed up, he's going nowhere, and he pulls this shit off, and you're just like, holy fuck, This is the old Jim Carrey. We got him back for at least one movie. Like, we got this motherfucker back. And for that, by itself, this movie was amazing. Aside with all the other crap that I loved as well. And with that, we'll close out.
You know, man, just never stop being you, man.